Hello Scorpio and welcome to your January 2022 video. So, Happy New Year, and it's important for you to know that Venus is in retrograde. Venus rules over finances, love. So when Venus goes into retrograde, it's important to be gentle with ourselves. People from the past might re-enter our lives. We can have relationship tension, be it family, friends, lovers, anyone that we connected to. Basically, Venus retrograde is about how we feel good. It rules the heart and our ability to feel happy. So when it goes retrograde, we're all a bit more sensitive and things from the past come out. Now, Venus is retrograding in your third house until the 29th of January. This is all about what you're taking in, your information, your communication. So it's important during this Venus retrograde to watch your communication. Watch what you say and think about what others are saying to you as well, because that is also communication. What you're listening to, it's so important with this Venus retrograde. On the 2nd, you have a new moon in your third house, and this is about communication, learning, information. Also with the Venus retrograde, you might want to learn something, take up something and new, read a book, find a new hobby, a new interest, that kind of energy. Even share something that you've been learning. Information is so important. That's the energy, especially things from the past. You might find yourself deeply interested once again. With the new moon, it gives you a new beginning in the third house of communication, hobbies, interests, things that you want to do. You might even think about writing, journaling, getting out what you need to get out of, like when it comes to your mind and heart, putting pen to paper and writing. So allow for that new moon to offer new beginnings in your communication, new beginnings in the people that you connect to, your networking. You might, if you have an idea, it'll be great for networking and putting it out there during that new moon. Any ideas that you have, because the third house rules over our thoughts, our communication, our ideas, the information. You might even want to go on a small distance trip. So you might decide like, oh, I might need to go for a road trip. I want to do a drive somewhere. That's the energy. On the 3rd, we have Mercury joining Saturn in your 4th house. So you're a bit serious and you're thinking a lot about your home, your living situation. You might be thinking about changing home. You might be thinking that you need to make changes to your home, because Saturn's all about, I got to get things organized here. I got to get things in check when it comes to my home. What do I need to do to my room? What do I need to do to put things in order? Things scatters, everything are all over the place. That's the energy. You'll be thinking too deeply about your family life, people that are soul family that dwell in your heart. You'll be thinking about them and boundaries you might need to make, because Saturn rules boundaries and putting things in order and putting things into place. It is a sensitive place for our minds to be, because the mind will then be thinking a lot about family and home, and finding that emotional and physical stability. The physical stability comes from order within our home, and the emotional stability comes from when we find our relationships are flowing. Now, before the 15th, because Mercury goes into retrograde on the 14th, so before the 15th, make sure you sign any paperwork. Make sure that anything you want to start, you start it. Any ideas that you have, put it through, especially because you have a lot of ideas flowing through you with that Venus retrograde, also with that new moon energy. Anything you need to do, do it. Start that new project. If you need to sign the paperwork, sign it before then, especially if you're moving home or making changes to your home. Do all of that then, even if you're doing any renovations or anything like that. When it comes to the 15th, Mercury's in retrograde. So if you're going to sign anything now, you'll have to read it and reread it, because Mercury retrograde rules over miscommunication, misunderstanding. When we're reading something, we think we're reading it, but we're not really taking it in. Think of Mercury retrograde like it rules over our mind, it rules over our communication. So when Mercury goes into retrograde, we're kind of offline mentally. So we were reading this piece of paper, but not understanding a thing. Communication with others can go into conflict. This is happening in your 4th house. So especially with family, you can have misunderstandings, miscommunications, and conflicts. Be gentle with yourself, self-love, self-care. Finding comfort is important during the 4th house energy. On the 17th, the full moon is in your 9th house. So this is about learning, information, wisdom. The 3rd house is all about the information you're reading, learning, picking up, hearing from others, ideas. The 9th house is where we take it to the next level, where we master it. And we only can master something through experience. So once we've heard about it, we've read about it, now it's time to put it into action. So this full moon is like, what do I need to release? So for me to take my ideas to the next place, What do I need to release? What's holding me back? What's keeping me stuck? What's keeping me stagnant? Do I have too many ideas? Do I need to focus on one idea and take it all the way? The ninth house is an expansion. It's a beautiful energy. It's also great for again trips, taking a trip somewhere, gaining a perspective when we're feeling stuck and stagnant or overstimulated with so many ideas and things and words and communication. We're on the Mercury retrograde. So make sure that if you are taking a trip, especially a road trip, you have everything in check. You check everything before you go, right? But remember, with that whole ninth house energy, it's about wisdom, it's expansion, it's growth, and that's what you're doing. You are growing, you are expanding in wisdom. Is there anything you want to study and take further? Full moon will show you what's holding you back. Maybe what you are studying is holding you back and you need to make a change. So on the 20th, the sun moves into the 4th house. This illuminates your 4th house, brings some opportunities within the home, makes things seem brighter, happier, more cheerier. The sun is all about illumination and conscious awareness. So you're consciously aware about your home. You're consciously aware about your relationships. You want to have healthy relationships. And that's so important. So make sure you utilize that energy because it offers you the opportunities to bring that energy in. On the 25th, Mars moves into the 3rd house. Again, this is about short distance traveling with Mars on the 25th moving into that 3rd house. Short distance traveling, making trips, plans, learning, information, communication. You might speak to someone who gives you an idea and you'll be like, oh, I think I should do that. I know how to do that. Like someone like, oh, do you know how to knit? Do you know how to, like I'm really looking for a photographer, and all the time you have this camera that's really great and you can take these really brilliant pictures. There you go. The energy of where you get ideas, where someone might say something to you and you're like, yeah, I think I can do that. And then you go and you do it and maybe you earn something extra. Or maybe you go and you do it and you gain some experience and you think about doing it at a later stage. Or like, they're like, do you know someone can knit? And like, yes, I can knit. And you knit this thing and then it becomes something else. It is a great time to expand our creativity. If there's a business idea you have, great for networking, great for writing, great for reading, great for information, great for communication and gaining information when we communicate with other people. So utilize that energy because Mars will have you wanting to do that. Once again, Mars in the 3rd house. Mars is very active here, so you might find yourself overly mentally stimulated, thinking too much, overthinking, finding yourself hard to rest because you have so many ideas, you have so many things running through your mind because Mars is all about action. And once Mars is in your mind, it wants you to take action, but sometimes it can making you overthink every conversation, overthink every conversation when someone close to you. Someone might say something to you and you'll be thinking like, what did I really mean though? So that's the energy. Be gentle with yourself with it. Don't let it drive you to the point of a mental breakdown because you're like overthinking, overanalyzing, overlooking at things. Let it be free, let it be easy. Enjoy it instead of letting it like take the reins over you and let you overthink. And the way to do it is to read that book. And instead of looking into what that person said and what it meant in that long text and looking at every line, don't do that. Read the book, watch a documentary, learn something interesting, take a trip somewhere, go for a drive somewhere, go to the ocean, try something new, gain a new experience through that. But don't do it where you now like, what does this mean? What does that mean? Let me go search for this kind of thing on someone else because it can overly mentally stimulate you till you want to gain information. And sometimes that can be not good for you. Too much mental strain, overthinking ideas. Will it work? Will it won't? How am I? What will happen to me? Doubting yourself with conversations you have with other people. Remember, Mercury is still in retrograde around the 25th because it'll be retrograding from the 15th and going 3 weeks into February. Around February 3rd, it goes direct. So be gentle with yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Do like and subscribe, as well as there's a link down below if you'd like to book a reading and a link for appreciation of these videos.